What's going on, everybody? You should know who I am by this point, but if you don't, my name is PlatsDoneFast, and first things first, thanks for 25 subs. That's a milestone to me. You know, I'd say like 25, 50, 100, and then it just goes up by hundreds there. But you know, that's like the first big milestone that I feel is in my mind. And I just want to thank all you guys for, taking some time out, liking my videos, doing what you do, and, just overall enjoying them. So yeah, let's just get on with this gameplay. As you can see, this is Pac-Man World again. Went over really well. I was surprised. I got 6 likes on the last video, and a lot of you seem to want to see me continue this series. So what I'm going to do is I'll probably just finish up this little Pirates Cove area here, and then I'll move on to the other series. And I'm thinking about just busting out Sly Cooper right away, and then just going between Black Ops and this game. But I haven't done Black Ops in a while, so I might just do like 3 episodes of that first and then do that. But yeah, we'll see when I get there. I'm kind of winging this, but yeah. So here we go. So just this morning I realized I haven't done like a story time video in a while. And that's what a lot of people came here for in the beginning, was just when I talked about something random. But this morning I just realized that, and I was like, crap, I should do a story. So I was like, inspiration, please hit me right now. I need something. So I got in the shower and I was putting some shampoo, doing the normal thing. And then there was like this softer spot on my head. And I was like, well, why is that there? And then I realized, oh, that's where I split my head open when I was younger. I should tell them about that. So that's what I'm going to be what I talk about today. And hopefully you enjoy. But basically, I'll start from the beginning here. When I was younger, it was like a real big deal to go see my grandparents. They moved down to North Carolina, like on the western coast. Well, it's not really a coast, seeing that there's no water there, but on like the western side of the state. And it's a long drive from Jersey. It's like 13 hours, I think. And since the traffic on 95 is bad, we always took some different route just so we kept driving. It didn't feel like we were in traffic all the time, which took a little bit longer, I feel. But we went like through Pennsylvania and then cut down like a little bit more to the west. And then we went to the western part of PA. Well, not PA. Western part of North Carolina. And, that ride always sucked, especially when we were little. Every time there's like a stop area, we'd get out and we'd go to the bathroom. And my sister would be like, oh, no, I don't have to go. And then 5 miles down the road, she'd be like, I have to use the bathroom every freaking time. But yeah, those rides suck just because you're sitting down so long. It's too much togetherness with your family. And I'm sure you've all been on the long car rides. They suck. And I was only in 2nd grade at the time. So, I was still like a little guy and I had 0 attention span still. I mean, it was better than me being like a 3-year-old. But I had no attention span. And that was before I had like the DS and the Game Boy. I had none of that. So basically, it was just like listening to music in the car with your family. It was like that typical, like suckish car ride that everyone thinks about. But anyway, so after a dreadful 13 hours, we arrived at my grandparents' house. And it was like 3 in the morning. We drove straight through the night. My parents are just freaking tired because they drove all day and dealt with us all day. And me and my sister are bouncing off the walls because we're finally there. So we get there, and I put my bags down inside the door. Everyone puts their bags down. We're greeting everybody. I just wanted to sit down. So there's this ottoman, and I just sat down on it, and my head went straight back, and behind the ottoman was like this square pillar, and the corner was facing right toward where the ottoman was. So when my head went back, I hit the freaking side of my head right on the side of that ottoman, and I reached up and saw blood. And when you're a kid and you're that young, the first thing you do when you see blood is you freak the fuck out. So that's what I did, basically. And then everyone just stops greeting everybody, and they come over, and they're like, oh, what happened, what happened? And my mom's freaking out, my grandma's freaking out, my dad's just like, oh, whatever. But anyway, so I was in 2nd grade, and if you ever went to like CCD or some like Catholic school, like I didn't go to Catholic school, but I went to like Catholic education on the weekends, and that's when your communion is, which is where like you become a part of the church, basically. That's what that is. And my communion was that week, like after we got back. So if I would have went to the hospital and gotten stitches, they would have shaved the whole side of my head. And during the communion, getting all those nice pictures in my little tuxedo when I was a kid would have had a freaking bald patch. So I wasn't having none of that either. But my mom brought up something that her grandmother did when she was younger. She used flour and water and something else. I don't even remember what it was. But it became like a paste, and she put that on my head. And it was weird. It was like itchy all the time, and But yeah, so they mixed this thing up, they put it on my head, and, you know, as far as I know, it worked, you know? I'm still doing alright. I'm still all mentally there, so yeah. But at first, I was really skeptical of it, I'm not gonna lie. It seemed like one of those crazy home remedies that people do, like, I was watching some episode of Taboo USA, and this guy just, like, drank his own piss, and he just believed that was, like, the cure to everything. He put it in his eyes and stuff, and he's like, oh, I can see better now, I don't need my glasses. Like, it seemed like one of those remedies to me. I was like, this isn't gonna work. Like, why am I even dealing with this? And it was just itchy. So itchy. Every day I'd be, like, reaching up there trying to scratch it. If you scratched it, it hurt because it's a freaking where you split your head open. So, I couldn't scratch it, and it was just terrible, you know, back then. You know, looking back at it now, it really wasn't anything, but, you know, I was in 2nd grade, and as a kid, you overreact to everything, so it's just how it works. That was a big deal to me back then, you know, splitting my head open. Before then, I'd broken my arm, which I guess I could talk about that later in the episode if I run out of time. That's an embarrassing story, kind of. But, I broke and dislocated my arm, and that's, like, the only, like, time I got, like, legitimately hurt in my childhood. The rest of the time, you know, I just made it through fine. And, you know, a lot of kids are like, oh, they've already had, like, broken legs, and they have scars everywhere, and I wasn't like that. I really wasn't a physical kid. Like, I tried out for every sport, and I just did not like getting, like, physical with people. Like, I like sports where it's just like you and like yourself, and that's how it worked. And that's why I kind of liked bowling when I was little. My dad really liked it, I liked it, you know. It was something I could do with him, and yeah, I really got into it. But you know, like sports like hockey and basketball, even like basketball, it was just too physical for me. I didn't like the fact that, you know, kids were just like getting rough with you just because, you know, they were trying to win a game, and you know, I didn't like that. So that's probably the reason I didn't join the rest of those kids with broken arms and scars everywhere, you know. So this was like my first real, well, yeah, breaking the arm was a little more severe than this, but this was, you know, a real injury to me, and it was different for me. I mean, it wouldn't have been any different for a kid that, like, got hurt and the same thing happened to him. He'd probably freak out too. But, you know, it was even, like, it was just a new experience for me, and it was weird. And I just didn't like the fact that, I could hurt myself that easily. By sitting on a sofa, nonetheless. That's how I hurt myself. But yeah, that's why I didn't end up like that. And geez, that was a huge tangent. I don't even know if that related or not. That's crazy. I can't stand when I do that, but whatever. Went off on the tangent. So anyway, this remedy I had it on my head for like the whole week we were down there. We were down there for about a week, and the last day I needed to get it off. But you know, I've been trying to take it off like the past 2 days, just like scratching at it, and it just wasn't working. And so to get it off, I had to take it off in the shower, but, you know, I still couldn't do it in the shower, so awkwardly, I had to get in the shower with my dad, and that was just freaking weird. As a little kid, that was just not okay. And even now, that's not okay, obviously, but, I mean, it was weird. Very weird. And I guess my mom wouldn't get in because that would just be awkward, even more awkward, so, like, I don't know. I don't know why they did that. I would have sat in the shower for half an hour longer before that happened. But, you know, a little awkward experience for you there. So, we finally got it off in the shower, and my head was fine, and miraculously it worked. I thought that was crazy that it worked. And, you know, so if I ever have kids and they get a split head, that's what I'm going to freaking do. I'm going to give them the flour and water and whatever the other ingredient was. I'd have to ask my mom. It'll be like a home remedy passed down for generations, man. But, yeah. So that's that story. I guess I can get into how I broke my arm. That's a more fun one. That's definitely a more fun one. So, this was when I was like 5. I split my head open when I was like 7. I think I was 5. A lot happened when I was 5. Like, that's ridiculous. That's like the time of my life, almost. But, yeah, so a lot happened back then. But, basically, we had this swing hanging off this tree in our backyard. And, I would go like Superman at it. I'd run at it, and like, I called it a belly flop, but I'd run and I'd like dive onto the swing, and then on my stomach, and then I would shoot up, I would touch the house, like with my arms, or like almost touch it, and then I'd come back, and that was just awesome to me as a kid. I just enjoyed every moment of doing that. I could do that for hours. It's just like when I came down like I had this dirt path in my driveway, like the first half's paved and then the rest is dirt. I used to come down that on my bike, and I could do that for hours, and yeah, it was just like that. I just really enjoyed doing it. And so one time, I tried to get extra air before, you know, getting onto the swing. I wanted to jump higher. Maybe I'd go even further. So I jump higher, But to jump higher, I jumped later as well. So instead of my stomach hitting the swing, I hit the swing with like my thighs. Then I like spun over really weird, like I flipped. And then next thing I know, I'm like upside down and my arm hits the ground first. Like I try to catch myself, but I had like my arm at like a 45-degree angle, but it was like backward. It's like my palm was facing toward me. And then when I hit the ground, it just like snapped weird. I didn't feel anything obviously because of the shock. But I will say I did hear something. And then, so naturally, I'm a little kid, you know, start crying. I start trying to get up. My mom's in the yard playing with the dog. The dog runs over, he starts licking my face. You know, I'm like, come on. My dog's only a puppy at this time. He's 14 now. He's a freaking old fart. But, he's at the vet right now. But, so, she comes and she sees me, the dog's licking my face. She comes to stop the dog. But then she sees that my arm is dangling behind me in a really weird position. So what does she do? She freaking shoves me into the ground. And this just freaks me out even more. I start freaking out more. And she starts yelling at the house. She's like, Carly! My sister's only like, I don't know. She's 4 years older than me. She'd be like 9 at the time. She's like, call 911, Carly! And my sister like freezes. And she's like, I don't know how. And then she starts crying. And that was just crazy. And so I'm laying there on the ground. My mom's not going to leave me. My sister's not going to call 911. My dog's still licking my face. I'm like, oh my god. So, my dad was at work that day, but for some reason he came home early. And the reason was, he found a trampoline at work. And they were just going to throw it out. So he's like, oh, I'm just going to take it home to my kids. So, he pulls in with his truck, and there's just a trampoline in the back of his truck. And, yeah, he was just going to surprise us with it. But he pulled in at the exact time that I'm laying on the ground with a broken arm. And my mom's crying, my sister's crying, and my dog's like, whatever, what's going on? And he's like, what's going on? And my mom yells right away. He's like, call 911. He calls 911, tells them the problem. They show up. And, you know, it felt like I was there for like 20 minutes on the ground. It was probably more like 5. But I'm laying there, and then I see the ambulance coming down the road, and that freaks me out even more. Because then the reality of it hit me. So at this point, I'm freaking out even more. And my mom's like, oh, it's going to be alright. It's going to be alright. You're fine, you know, that whole thing. But, so, the freaking paramedic guy, I can still see his face. It's really weird. I don't know his name or anything, but he was there. I can still see him. And he's like, son, we're going to have to cut through your jacket. And back then, I had a Carhartt jacket because my dad had a Carhartt jacket. And, you know, and I freaking love that thing. And, so I wore that everywhere, my little Carhartt, and I had boots even back then. Back then, I wanted to be just like my dad. And, so I had that jacket on. When he said he wanted to cut the jacket, I was more concerned about that freaking jacket than my arm. And I was like, no, don't cut my jacket. He's like, no, we have to. And my mom's like, we'll buy you a new one. It's okay. And I just wanted none of that. And I was like screaming. I was like, no, don't do it. And he's just started cutting it. And, you know, now looking back at it, I'm glad he did. But, I mean, that was devastating to me. That was like my jacket. You don't touch that. But, so he cuts through that. Then, I don't remember, the only thing I remember is, they asked me, who do you want to ride with in the ambulance? And I said my mom. So my dad followed me, I believe. Yeah, he followed us to the hospital. My mom was in the ambulance, but that's all I remember of that. Next thing I remember was, I was in the hospital, and we were about to start surgery, and they were like, alright, just, you know, they put the laughing gas in my face, and they're like, oh, just count to 10. And I remember counting to 10. And you know, I actually don't remember getting to 10. I remember doing like 1, 2, 3, and I guess by then I was already out. So, but then I remember waking up, sitting up, like my eyes weren't even open. I just remember sitting up, and I was like, is it over? And they were like, no, we're not done yet. Just lay back down, go back to sleep. So, I think I woke up in the middle of the surgery, and I, like, tried to see if I was done. And I don't remember feeling anything, but I think it was just such a traumatic event that I woke up in the middle of it. And I remember this, but I don't think really anyone believes me when I tell them that. But that actually happened. Like, that wasn't, like, a dream thing. That freaking happened. I remember that. And, yeah, that's creepy thinking about it, you know? I don't know, I guess it just numbed me to the point, but it was supposed to put me to sleep, but I freaking woke up. And I don't think anyone believes me when I say that, but whatever. That's what happened, and I'm sticking to it, because I remember that freaking happening. But yeah, this is wrapping up. I hope you enjoyed my freaking injuries, I guess. They're pretty crazy at times. But yeah. Oh yeah, and then I woke up in the hospital. Next thing I remember, I was watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and my grandma walked in, and she's like trying to check on me, you know. She's like, my other grandma, not the grandma from North Carolina. My other grandma came in. She's trying to check on me. She's all concerned, and I'm like, and I can't talk because, you know, I'm on like freaking pain medication at my ass. But and then she's like, what's wrong? He's hurt. My mom's like, no, you're blocking the TV. So yeah, I needed my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, man. That was my show back in the day, and that's, I don't know. I don't like the new one, but that was the show back then. But yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed. Until next time, I'm out. Leave a like if you liked, of course. Leave a comment if you want to comment. Leave a sub if you want to sub. But I'm out. Peace.